I think it's probably been long enough for our guest to stand in the corner waiting. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have a guest today, Harvey. I would like to introduce you to the now infamous my buddy Brandon, who I talk about very frequently on my live streams because we work on short films together and occasionally do music together. It's been a while since that, but mainly work on short films together. And today, my buddy Brandon is here to join us on Harv Pawn. Good. There you go.
There we go. I'm in. Hi, guys. Gals. Everybody. Hi. Harv, how's it going?
Hello, Brandon. Welcome to the show.
So Brandon and I recently premiered our newest short film, Catch Him If He Strays. And when?
When he strays.
Catch Him While He Strays. I don't know the name. I just edited it.
Was it really your short film as well, Pawn?
I don't know. I've been drinking today, so there's that. But yeah, we just recently premiered it. What day was that even that we premiered it?
Last Wednesday. So a week.
Oh, that's why we didn't have a show. Was because and you can't see what Random Aim just cheered with 125 bits. Hi, Brandon and Pawn and Harv. Here's early bits. Can't stay long. Have a great stream. Thank you, Random Aim. By the way, we are going to be opening up our own law firm, Harv and Pawn and Brandon.
I need a better.
No, Harv and Pawn and Fry. Harv and Pawn and Fry. And if you come through the drive-thru, you can get fries. And then Pony in chat with Brandon, is Pawn as sexy in real life as he is on the stream? Oh, rude. He's just saying, he's just acting that way because I've made several, non-heterosexual passes at him throughout our career together, so just trying to make sure that his girlfriend is like, okay, that's clear.
Do you need me to shall I go?
Do you want more space at the desk, Brandon? Just move over to your left.
I like the comfort of being close to somebody. I don't do well alone.
I just want to feel the warmth.
This is actually, check this out. This is amazing. This is the first time that this has ever happened in the Harv Pawn Show. I have an object, and I'm going to hand it to another human being who can receive it without it disappearing into the ether.
Holy cramoly.
Okay, your arm, Brandon. Pull your arm back. Lost his forearm there.
I found the ether.
Really? Well, mix me a drink then. Yeah, so Harv and I, or who are you again?
Fire.
Jerry here and I worked on, that's right, Brandon Fire was recently in an article written about the film, was, writer-director Brandon Fire. We put this short film together. It has literally been a year.
Yes.
Since we started.
Yes.
When did shooting begin? Do you remember?
October 1st or 4th or something of 2018. Shooting began over a year ago. Writing began probably in May of 2018. It's been an ordeal.
So it's actually it's more than a year. It took us a year and a month to actually have the thing ready to release. But we got there.
This is actually pretty similar timing to the Harv and Pawn release schedule. Our production for this show started just over a year ago. So
it's just sort of my schedule of operation. By the way, those of you looking forward to Kerbal Space Programming coming back to my live streams, first quarter 2021. Just, I know I've already got an idea. We're just going to plan it out. It'll just take me some time.
Well, KSP2 might not be out by then still, so you'll have time. But yeah, so man, a year-long project, and it's only just been premiered, and you aren't kind of releasing it everywhere yet. You've had a physical showing in a proper theatre. How many people did you manage to cram in there?
We got 55, I think was the head count, which was just shy of my goal. But I mean, with the initial investment, I think I only lost like $50, and I had a good experience. So, not bad. Yeah, I'll take it.
Worth $50 then, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
$50 to premiere, and who was it? What were the other films that were premiering short films, or not short films, but we were at like the Main Art Theater in Royal Oak, so they also run, indie films that you're not going to see at the Imagine Theater that's behind the Royal Art Main Art Theater. But we were running with, who was it that was on our marquee with us?
Ah, yes, some films that I've yet to see, but I'm excited to see. Parasite, Jojo Rabbit, and The Lighthouse, which I've heard nothing but great things about all three of them.
So it was just awesome to like share a marquee with that lineup. I'm interested to see Jojo Rabbit too. The others I haven't heard anything about because I don't, I make indie films. I don't follow them. But Jojo Rabbit, Jojo Rabbit is a kid who's got an imaginary friend who is Hitler. And just that, and a commentary on modern times and the childish nature of sort of Nazism. I like to say Nazism.
Nazism.
Yeah, make people guess for a minute what you're actually talking about.
Write it down. You'll see it.
Nazism, it just doesn't what are you going to do? Nazis? No, you're not going to do that. So just Nazism. Nazism, which is where Jesus was born, in the small town of Nazism.
There's a rule, which is that if any conversation on the internet goes on for long enough, eventually someone will bring up either Hitler or Nazism. I feel like we've made a new all-time record for how quickly it happened on today's stream.
Well, Jojo Rabbit is definitely spiking that Google trend, if you go and see how often things are searched. But that's a good thing. People should actually know about that stuff so that they stop repeating the errors of past. Because it seems like both of our countries are, mined to a greater extent, but both of our countries are having a little bit of sort of let's revisit that chapter in history. Brexit.
Hey, don't
walls,
blow your load
Trump.
of your opinions too quickly, because one of our discussion topics for an upcoming show, it's currently being voted on by our glorious, loyal Patreon patrons and our Twitch subscribers.
That could be you.
Yeah, modern day nationalism. It's on there. It's on the list. Have your say. We need you. And you, and you, and you, and so on.
I'm just thinking the intro to Starship Troopers. Is Starship Troopers right now, we need you to fight the thing. And then they got like a little kid in the helmet and that kind of thing.
I'm doing my part.
But yeah, so yeah.
I think we've got quite a big topic on for today.
So yeah.
Yeah.
This is funny because actually Brandon and I have a short film called Okay, So. That our first ever short film that we did together, which was just grab the camcorder and go out and have fun in this big long hallway that was in the middle of, it was either side of, it connected both sides of this giant shopping mall. Mm-hmm. So it was just an indoor hallway just to do that. Just to be a junction. So no one was in there. The place reeked of cigarettes because everyone who worked there went out to smoke in this hallway to stay warm in winter and stuff like that. Disgusting location. We were like, oh my God, an indoor hallway that is just a hallway fight. We got to have a hallway fight. We had a beautiful anime Naruto-inspired hallway fight.
Of course, yeah. I remember seeing a beautiful anime-inspired fight of one of your short films, but you weren't in a hallway, you were out on a field.
Yes. That was actually the second one, so for the premiere event of Catch Him Well as Whenever He Strays.
Therefore.
You just keep on forgetting the title.
our lineup was actually, we filled the space with 57 minutes worth of content, and it started out with Okay So, which was 10 years ago. We made that thing, and then we followed it up with the one that you're referencing, Harv, which was Catch Him If He's... No. What was that one called? It was just the ATM fight, right?
He got his ass kicked at an ATM, I think was the title.
It was just my clickbait.
Your naming conventions have evolved over time.
In the wrong direction, because that was good clickbait, you know? He got his ass kicked at an ATM. I mean, oh, really? Let me click. And then it turns out to be some jackass's short film. But yeah, so we had a fight, and then we had a fight, and then we had 2 short films that were by one of the actors, written and starring one of the actors from Catch Him. Although he strays. I'm just going to keep trying to come up with like new things to stick in there. I'm going to need more prepositions and
Catch him in the event that he strays.
But yeah, we read 2 of his short films. So there was Jim Married, which was the second one, and the first one was The Finger.
Yes.
Finger.
Both comedies, you know, shorts that were really, really fun. And then we got into the darker shit. Because some of our stuff has been, you know, Brandon and I have worked on... He's the writer, so you blame him for, you know, deciding to write things up where it's like post-apocalyptic world, and one man still believes in the power of love. One way that was Bleak. That's out there on your YouTube channel, right? Have you put it back public again?
I have to unprivate it or re-enlist it. It has to be re-enlisted.
Re-unlisted.
Yes, it exists on YouTube. I just took it down for the premiere and have dropped the ball putting it back up.
Yeah, I've seen that one, I'm fairly sure. I think when Roy and I started talking about doing the show, and Roy informed me that his name was indeed Roy,
What?
I then went and had a search. I had a search. I came across Pawn's IMDb page, and from that, I think I found Bleak, and I wanted to watch it. Yeah, very nice stuff. I've got a question for the both of you, actually.
Yeah.
You had this roughly an hour long premiere, and kind of went chronologically through all of your films, starting with the oldest. How do you feel about kind of the quality of what you're making back then? 10 years is a long time. Are you still proud of those ones, or were you a bit embarrassed about them, or how do you guys see them?
Certainly not embarrassed. I recognize it for what it is and recognize it for the starting block, and as dated as it was and as poor film quality it was, there were still laughs from the audience. People still chuckled and enjoyed themselves. I'm still proud of it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I would say that the one that is sort of the weakest, we just didn't show. We had a thing, The Rabbit, and we were just well overreaching. Ooh! Brandon Frye just subscribed. Mosaic Task Force just gifted a subscription to you. So thanks, Brandon.
Hey, happy to... I don't know what happened.
Is that an E in your Twitch username? Isn't it supposed to be how do you spell Brandon?
With an O. With an O.
Ah, just all right.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. I thought you were talking about like the E at the end of Fry. I'm like, oh, okay.
No.
Harv's about to step in the poo on this one. But no, yeah, you're right. Brandon as opposed to Brandon.
Yes.
Oh, I bet now you feel embarrassed. Never mind.
One of my great powers is that I never feel embarrassed.
But that's good then, that you appreciate your older work for what it is and still feel proud of it. So this Rabbit one that you didn't show, what was the thinking behind not showing it? Was it just that it was bad, or?
I'm gonna let you start with this one.
Like, it was so, and the other, So yeah, like, I feel looking back on that one, I feel like we were overreaching what we were capable of doing back then. And also, it was a long-winded, like, monologue of just voiceover from me, and I was doing, like, a really, like, childish kind of version of a dark character's voice, so it sounded really stupid. You know, when I look back at that performance. Yeah. But when I take it in as a whole, like, it had a cool thing that it was doing. It was actually, we made paper mache masks for the main characters, and the whole deal was that they were both going to be, like, rabbits. They were both going to have these paper mache rabbit masks. Yep. And, you know, they were evil villains, or one was an evil villain, and one... I don't even remember how it was going to go. But, you know, we had, like, a large arc of story that we were going to tell with this thing, and it was just, we were well overreaching for what we knew how to do, what we had the equipment to do, and what experience we had with that one. So it starts out strong. Right. The strongest thing in that was the beginning with Lauren.
Yes, Lauren, an old ex-girlfriend, 6 girlfriends ago.
And I, playing the, you know, first of the evil bunny rabbits, got to beat her in the back of the head with a baseball bat in a parking lot. I think that was the best part of the film.
That video is...
That's called a donkey punch.
I do believe that video is still public on my YouTube channel. It exists for the world to see. I will never take it down because it's something that exists and was created, and even bad art has its place.
Yes.
The Rabbit Purgatorio,
came from.
I believe was the full name of that. The Rabbit Purgatorio. But yeah, then we went into, at the premiere, we went into Bleak, which is the post-apocalyptic tale of, you know, just another voiceover thing, but this time I'm not trying to be, where are the drugs? I'm not doing any of that. And then after Bleak was...
Before Bleak was Break Your Heart.
Oh yeah, that's right, Break Your Heart before Bleak.
Properly titled I Am Going to Break Your Heart, but language between us, Break Your Heart.
And I've actually got the poster, because Brandon has made posters for, like, all of our short films, you know, since Break Your Heart. Yeah. So I've got an 8x11 or something. I don't know what the measurements are.
Yeah, which is taped up on your wall, isn't it? I think you've shown it in videos.
Yep.
Yeah.
And in fact, behind the green screen, I've got the poster for Ketchum purposefully welts He Strays that I can bring out after the break, when we get to the break of the show. Yeah. But he's been very, Brandon's taking this shit seriously. Me, I just sit down at the editing bay and cobble crap together.
He makes sense of my ideas. I just spit things out of my brain, and after Roy spends, thousands of hours in the editing bay, it's actually a thing.
No, Brandon, you give him too much credit.
Wait, what? I will show you the fucking timeline for this thing right now. I digitally removed at least 5 people from the background in different scenes. 5 different scenes, 2 different people, I believe, removed from the background of scenes, old George Lucas style.
Was there a point when you were doing that at which you were just like, this guy looks enough like he could just be a person that's there? Like, why am I doing this?
Actually, there was, with a certain, like, we had the audio engineer, Jeremy, who got caught in the background of one of the shots. And, we had a good, like, tight focal range on the camera. So Jeremy was very much like he's sitting on the ground, like cross-legged or something. So it's just sort of a blur of an orange face. And you can't, a skin-colored face. And you can't really tell necessarily that it is a face. So I was sitting there going, do we really even need to do anything? And Brandon's like, yes, we do need to do something.
So it's Brandon who is requiring all this extra work to be done, is it?
Yes.
He's the one maintaining quality on our films, yeah.
We were climbing an uphill battle putting this thing together. So it was important we tried our damnedest.
Yeah, and there was a moment where we were going to remove someone's legs. that was in the background of a fight scene, because there's a big epic fight scene.
You needed an amputee. You needed an amputee in the background.
Okay, I should have specified. Someone's legs, that their legs weren't supposed to be there.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, we were going to remove someone's legs from these shots, and I sat there for like 5-7 minutes or something looking at like, okay, well, if I took a chunk of the floor from over here and I laid it, it's a moving shot, the camera's shaky, I don't think we can do this. And Brandon just goes, yeah, we might have to live with it. It's not like we could just do a digital zoom in. And I just did this. I went, we could just do a digital zoom in! And then boom, that was it. That's all we had to do. And it came out brilliantly too, because the digital zoom actually like made the whole camera movement. It was this beautiful sweeping long shot where we come in over someone's shoulder, and by doing the hard zoom in, it was just more of it felt like it was even more planned and staged to like get down on the guy who's on the floor. It's an interesting fight scene you're going to be seeing later in the today's show. We should have probably said that earlier, huh?
Yeah. No, I think this is great. Like, we get out all of the interesting bits and quirks and like the director's behind the scene commentary before watching the thing, so that we can keep an eye out for it. And be like, oh, there's that zoom. Oh,
Right.
I know why they did that now. Everything's so much more significant.
And now it's easier to be critical, because it's like I was sitting here talking about all the hard work they did, and then I watched it, and it was all right.
And then I watched it, and it was the best thing I've ever seen. Oh my god. Wow.
Oh, cool. We're going to put that on the next poster. Thank you, Harv.
Yes.
Direct quote.
The best thing I've
Quote.
ever seen, Harvey Cash.
Hasn't seen movie yet. Brackets underneath that. So the idea for the show today, I think, is the very kind of general loose premise of directing and acting and pretty much just anything that goes into making a short film. So I think it kind of makes sense to focus initially on the film, and let's get quite deep, continue getting quite deep into that, and then we'll show the film, and then we'll go to a break at some point, and then afterwards maybe we'll open it up and be a little more general. So
Okay. So then,
that's our
Brandon,
roadmap, I think.
put you like right on the hot spot. The hell is Catch Him During He Strays about?
Henceforth. Well, without spoiling anything.
It's weird that you're so... I'm just going to acknowledge this before we go any further. This two-shot was designed for me to be alone, so you're way over on that side of things, which is kind of weird. You know what? I'm just going to...
I think I fit really nicely.
I'll just be over here,
it
and
works.
I'll just be the mouth, and then you can lean in a little bit.
Yeah, so like any idea, just random idea shows up in your head. And as someone who likes to write, you write things down and you're like, oh, hey, short film. So the quick pitch, or the synopsis or tagline or whatever the proper term is, a vigilante has been on the loose in this fictional town, metropolis rather, of Sterling City for the better part of a year. And tonight, 2 undercover cops hope to change that. That's the quick pitch. And I don't know why I wanted to do something with cops. I'm not a big cop drama person. So
Not like NYPD?
no, Blue Bloods. I've heard that's like
I haven't seen that.
I've heard that's bad.
The commish?
Commish. I like Lethal Weapon. That's fun.
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, so that's the quick pitch.
Wish there was less Jew hating in that film, though.
Is that a feature of Lethal Weapon?
Well, Mel was in it, and not Brooks, which would have, I don't know, that probably would have been more Jew hating, because it's just, you know, you have a license when you're
Sure.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pony69. Have you ever watched Old Boy? Oh my God.
Yes.
Brandon actually
Fuck yes.
told me, I've watched Old Boy because
We can
Brandon
swear,
said
right?
you have to. No, shut the fuck up. Brandon told me I had to watch Old Boy, so yes.
Yes. Not the new one.
I have not.
Not the who remade it, Spike Lee. I didn't see that one. The original Korean one, yes, fantastic.
And it can't be that old, because the old one looked, very fucking modern.
Yeah, maybe like 2003-ish, something like
So
that.
it was just so good, so many people loved it that they actually, we need to remake that 15 years later.
Right? There are no new ideas in Hollywood. At least very few. All the new ideas are, indie films that...
Indie films, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, is Old Boy the one with that kick-ass hallway fight?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I've seen a dissection of that and what made it so good. I've not actually seen the film though. But what I learned from my video watchings was that they tried to kind of do a homage to that scene in the remake and got everything wrong about what made it so good. Apparently the really great thing was that the protagonist is getting stabbed in the back, literally, and getting beaten up, and he's really struggling to carry on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are watching him overcome those trials and tribulations. In the new one, he's just
just a badass?
just a badass who just fights his way through it, gets stabbed in the back in the exact same way. And I think he probably just turns around and something like that. It's just so
proceeds
inhuman.
To just go Neo on their asses and stuff. He's running up the walls and flipping, throwing people across the room.
For all I know, yes, that's exactly what was happening. I haven't seen the film, so...
Again, we're going to quote you directly in the reviews for Old Boy, Harvey.
Let him rip. It's fine by me. So, Brandon, what would you say is the most challenging thing about what you do? Big question. Broad question.
Right.
What was the worst night of filmmaking, and then turn that into the answer, basically?
The worst night of filmmaking was also the most fun. The fight scene. We were probably all on set for the better part of 12 hours in a hot garage. And this was my first time filming a fight scene, but my research had led me to understand that just film it in sequence. You've got your master fight, and then take it in chunks or blocks and kind of progressively move through each block, making sure you get all the shots you want in that, block A, and then, So 12 hours in a hot garage, exhausted by the end of the night, everybody's frustrated, and, punches could have been thrown, but we didn't get there.
Except in the film.
Right. But at the same time...
I was going to say, if you were filming a fight scene, then hopefully there were punches thrown.
Right. The cinematographer and I didn't come to blows. There might have been a harsh word or two, but, that was definitely the most stressful night filming. But at the same time, when you had just moments of, film magic or happenstance, we got some really beautiful shots and takes, and, for as much frustration, there were a lot of laughs. Yeah.
And so is that then something separate from what Harv asked, which is what do you find the most difficult thing, in going, because you write and you've directed, and recently you've been communicating to me, I'm kind of over the directing bit.
Yeah.
Especially in short film, I'll just say this just from watching you. In the short film industry, being the director is just being the director, the producer, the assistant director, the assistant producer, it's everything all at once, while you're supposed to be writing and maintaining what's the story, and can I help my actors get into the headspace, and what are our angles going to be, and you're supposed to have this mind for certain things that other people usually have the job for in real production, and you just end up being everything.
And yes, to parallel, that is pre-production in general is the most just stressful, frustrating part about doing this. Having to be the one to organize the call sheets and round up the actors and make sure the props are prepared and taken care of. And I also have to be the one to make sure I've got the food to feed my people.
Craft services.
Because I'm working with, essentially no budget. It's coming all out of my own pocket. I have to do my own headhunting for crew and try to wrangle people who are passionate enough about making films that they want to do it because they love it, not necessarily because they're looking for a paycheck. Here in Metro Detroit, we've got the Motion Picture Institute, MPI, I think is what they go by. So there's an entire group of young kids, upwards to older adults, who've built this network for themselves, and they all pool off of each other's resources and find funding and whatever else they do. But I and Roy and this little posse I've built are the outsiders. We don't have those people or have those resources, so it makes pre-production incredibly insane.
Oh. I mean, not to get too potentially politicky, but why are you guys outsiders from that?
Well, didn't go to the school, for one. Two, we started off playing music, and film just just came a thing. We were like, oh, this is fun, let's do this. And have definitely made friends and connections along the way as we've broadened our horizons beyond just doing things just the two of us.
Yeah, so it's nothing that's necessarily like, oh, fuck those guys. It's just, it's more like we didn't run in the same circles.
Yep.
And so, like, most of our ins that we have are ins that go directly through, like, one or two people. Like, you start with one person and say, do you know someone who can do audio engineering for the shoot?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, I know, like, 3 different people. You don't want to work with that person.
Yeah, and I should add that, be it actors or crew members, be they other outsiders or people affiliated with the Motion Picture Institute, filmmaking in general has been, nothing but a positive experience. It's been great meeting a lot of people who all, we've all got the same goal, and that's to make films.
And I have been
awesome.
keeping a, distant eye on chat, Sir Emo Chappington, talking about loving a good fight scene, and so many films out there can't do them well. I think, for the fact that we were no budget thing and, no special effects apart from removing entire human beings from the backgrounds of scenes, I think we did pretty damn well, just working with the camera and working with the, we had 2 incredibly good actors for this, people who are very experienced with fight choreography, one of them being a amateur professional wrestler.
Yes.
Justin Maine?
Maine, yes.
Maine. Justin Maine. And then we can now say it. We were actually, it's a weird situation to be in because, like, it's a small, short film, and like Brandon's saying, we're outside of, like, the larger community of people in the local area who are doing it. But we had, like, a big reveal for, like, our star actor. And it was just weird to be in this situation where it's like, so we can't just tell people that he's in it? And it was just like, the idea was because he's in, like, the, he is part of that tapped-in community. So it's going to be, like, a big, like, reveal for that community to see because he's just listed as the fight choreographer in the, like, pre-release notes and the publications and stuff like that. Just, you did some fight choreography. Okay, maybe I'll see it, maybe I won't. For the people who showed up to see it, it was like, oh, you're in it! You're the main bad guy!
Well,
we can now say who, right?
Pawn.
Yeah, we can say who now. Maybe not. Maybe after.
Okay.
After we show it.
Well, sure. Just because we're in the habit.
I'm sure most of the people watching
Keep the big
won't
reveal.
know.
Have it. Relive it again.
We have Tom Cruise will be jumping on a sofa. No, shit, I said it. Damn it.
I flew to America, and it is I that was actually your... Sorry, I'm gonna ruin that, but...
You are in the film, though, Harvey. That's something that we haven't alluded to the entire time. Harv is in the film. In fact, he's like the lead character for the first minute and a half of the film, basically. Did some voice work for us. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And after we see the film and come back from break and all that sort of a thing, it's going to be a great opportunity for us to dig into your head about like voice acting and your experience there and how you get into the place. And
so this must be, Harvey, this will be, have you seen the film?
No, I've not seen it. This is my first viewing. Yeah.
Okay. Right on. Very cool.
So you get to have my live reaction to it as well. I'll try and filter out the negative.
We're recording this, right? I can just slap his audio commentary over it for the DVD.
Yeah. No, my impression was that our raw output from this stream will be on the Blu-ray.
I like it.
can you afford a Blu-ray publishing, like pressing? Is that
No, MP4. MP4.
Actually, interesting point. Is there going to be a way that people can buy this to give you money for having made this? Have you got plans for that?
The only thing I've set up, so I personally am, while I've had no direct experience with it, I'm not a fan of Kickstarter. I don't necessarily like the concept of, hey, people pay me now for something I'm going to do. So there is a PayPal account set up that I announced at the premiere and have linked to on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. For anyone who liked the film and wants to support it, any money coming through the PayPal account goes directly toward submissions for film festivals. So that's the only monetary plan.
Is it a PayPal.me?
Yep, paypal.me/dog in a bathtub.
All one word?
Yep, all one word.
Yeah, that's the name of the production studio. Dog in a Bathtub. And just stay off of, what's the site that's Urban Dictionary?
Yes.
Don't look that up. Don't look that up. We've been operating under the title Dog in a Bathtub for a while now.
Yep. And at the premiere was the first time we were almost called out on it. No.
Oh, well, you've made a mistake now by saying that,
Yes.
because I know people in this chat are going to go look it up and tell us. So expect that in a few minutes once the stream delay and so on is given them a chance to do that.
As long as the words don't have to come out of my mouth, I'm okay.
But that's the thing,
Yes,
is
you're
like
not officially misrepresenting your film crew.
Yes.
the fun of it and the fact that it still works as like a production house kind of a name is because, making a short film, guerrilla filmmaking style on no budget is like trying to keep a dog in a bathtub. It is
Absolutely.
like trying to give a dog a bath that it doesn't want. It is, you end up finding out that, oh, am I the audio engineer tonight? Apparently you're on lighting. Anybody paying attention to continuity? And just everybody gets the jobs that they get because you've got, 6 to 12 people on set. How many people did you have, like, on the maximum head count for Catch Him Under He Strays? Just reaching for propositions.
Wow. Actors and crew?
Yeah.
Cast and crew total? Probably 14 or so. Biggest production we've done, and I know, Hollywood people are operating with crews of thousands. So, but 14 is a lot.
But that actually makes it easier on, like, the director, know?
Right.
You have all those people who you can just... the director just goes to, like, the head of the lighting thing and says, that guy's an asshole, get him out of here, as opposed to having to, be the lighting guy or go over to that guy and say, okay, I like what you're doing, but what if we did it not stupid?
Right.
And
yeah, I mean,
just
even
not to say anything about lighting. That was an example. It was just,
as the
Everyone watching the film, watch out for the lighting. Pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, as the writer, director, producer, the amount of times that I physically ran from the car to the garage or basement to get a light or get a prop. I made use of my production assistants as much as I could, but their hands were tied. It needed to get done, so roll up my sleeves, do it myself.
What's Peter, Lord of the Rings, just like sits behind 15 monitors and just like has people run shit across the country, New Zealand, just all of New Zealand is working for him, and he's just like, action.
Burp included.
Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson.
Yes.
So Brandon, Roy Pawn, I don't know which one to call you on. I should be calling you Pawn.
It's in the branding.
Said that, so you're finding kind of all that pre-production, post-production, the directing, maybe not as great. Is it the writing that you're wanting to focus on? What is it about it that is like the main thing you would rather be doing?
I've always loved the writing. That was always like first and foremost where I started. And I've loved physically being behind the camera. The last 2 productions we've done, I made an effort to try to step away from being behind it so that I could try to be a better director. And I just didn't like that as much. So I'd rather write and, operate camera. I've had some positive experiences in the sense of like working with actors and directing them. That has been an enjoyable process, but having to be the guy who's doing all of the pre-production and, checking in with everybody and feeding everybody. So the producer, maybe that's what that should be called in an indie film. That's just too much. I've got gray hairs. Yeah.
Well, and I think would it be like the assistant producer in particular who's supposed to be the one who's like getting ulcers from trying to get the scheduling? It's either assistant director, it's either AD or AP, right?
I think assistant directors typically those people. Yeah.
Trying to get permission to be on site. And producer's supposed to be like worrying about whether or not we could get insurance for the next scene.
Right.
You mentioned that like you tried not being behind the camera and just kind of didn't feel right. I've had a glimpse at that feeling myself. So the thing I most recently directed, if you could call it that, was a music video that I did. And it was just me and one friend. I was the only actor in it, although his hand would come in off screen occasionally. And I had storyboarded everything out. I knew exactly the framing and the shots that I wanted. And just trying to communicate that verbally to him, I found that it's like, oh, he's doing what I'm telling him to do. I just can't express what needs doing and like sufficient accuracy to have it match with my, my vision of it in my head. And so there are loads of bits that I kind of was like, okay, yeah, that's great, but just, and then grabbed his hands and just moved, moved where I wanted it to be. Okay, stay there.
Yep, I've been guilty of that as well.
Yes, hologram in the chat says, do as I want and not as I say. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Find out what I want.
It is its own like whole skill set of just being able to, that is what a director properly does is, inspire people and manage people and help them with their words and with like, what's Citizen Kane? The scene that took them 14 hours or something to shoot, I think is the legend or something like that. They actually dug a hole in the ground so that they could get the camera low enough for the right angle. And when you, like, the way that they talk about that, it kind of seems as though the whole point of that, of everything that the director did that night was to frustrate and piss off the actors and keep them there for 14 hours until they fucking hated him and they wanted to go home just so that they could get the one take of the scene that he wanted where the dude is genuinely like, fuck you! And he brings that to the role because the director has, like, poked everybody all day long until you're just raw edges, and that's what he wanted, so he got it. Who was
Brandon,
that?
have you ever had an actor shout "fuck you" at you?
Not yet, which is fortunate because most of the people I've worked with were friends first before they were actors.
That's a problem.
I could certainly see the day coming. Yes, I won't rule it out.
Which is why he's trying to get out of being a director.
Right.
Yeah, let someone else handle that.
So we are coming up on the turn of the hour here. Should we
I was going to say.
Not blue ball everybody any longer and actually show them the film? Catch him as though he strayed?
It's when.
Oh, catch him when he strays. That's it, right? Yeah. Did I get it right that time? See, I've said it wrong so many times.
When.
Okay. Catch him when he strays. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you're seeing it here first, and you won't see it again on YouTube for a good long time because the film is going to be making the rounds at the indie film festivals. So we're going to be keeping it off of YouTube as its own thing. It's only going to be available here and in the VOD of this Harv Pawn for quite some time. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Catch Him When He Strays.
Is not a hero.
I'm not saying he's
to date,
a hero.
14 men and 1 woman have been assaulted and hospitalized.
All right.
Most of them with life-altering injuries. I don't know how you can possibly
I'm not saying he's a hero.
Oh,
These
come
attacks have been heinous, but it must be acknowledged that every one of these so-called victims has a record of causing physical violence on others. I mean, you have to see the irony
so these
in
attacks
it.
are justified?
I'm not saying
How can
that.
anyone even consider
I'm
justifying?
not saying that either, but the ineffectiveness of our current criminal justice system
No,
is
this
worthy
is
of at
not
least a
justice.
conversation.
Shut up. Listen to me.
Okay.
Let me
This
stop you
man
right there,
has
Mr.
taken it
Austin.
upon himself to punish people who have already served the sentence that society
Hold on.
deems
For those of you just
appropriate
tuning
for them.
in, my guests are Sterling City's District Attorney, Elliot Austin, and journalist for the Sterling Press, Zoe Anderson. We're discussing the attacks perpetrated against civilians of Sterling County over the past 11 months.
How do they know this shit? You know what I think? There's some motherfucking rat in the department. Do you know what the fuck that means? That means some motherfucker!
Hello? Come in?
Yeah, still here. Still waiting. Some prick in blues is going behind the chief. Disrespecting the badge, you know? Disrespecting me. Disrespecting you. You probably got somewhere better to be, right? What time is it?
Almost midnight.
Yeah, my point exactly. You could have been doing whatever weird shit you do when you ain't on the job. But instead, here you are listening to me run my fucking mouth. These lips should be wrapped around a pair of titties. But no. No titties, just this fucking sandwich. These pricks really have some nerve messing with my time. You think this prick's even gonna show?
Who knows?
Probably a dead lead. Some old lady sees a black dude strolling through her neighborhood, so he must be a fucking crook. Bet you get that all the time.
Guess I always thought reconnection went on the moon.
Fuck!
So a friend took me to the bar, tried to help me through. He helped me realize I was too heavy alone. I found myself repeating to him I didn't think you'd actually do it. So he got married. Bet you carried you to the door, and you wrote to tell me that you can't let me love you anymore. Just 'cause I don't get you, don't mean I'll forget you.
Get you one day.
Just 'cause I don't get you.
Here's him. I'd like to get a few licks and teach him some manners. Sure, the chief wouldn't mind.
You should use a napkin.
What?
And wear a watch.
That's what phones are for. Hell, I should record this. We're gonna be heroes.
So you didn't think it'd be a good idea? Invite me to
It'd only be right to let him rough up the target, though. fucking wife beater.
Yeah, man.
Don't hit them unless they ask for it, you know?
Sure isn't them.
What's your take on this prick anyways? Why's it cut their hands off?
Beast man.
I got 200 right on him being some religious nut. Cutting off dudes' jerking hands. You're a social fucking butterfly, Ray. You know, Tony was pissed we got this assignment. Said he would have wrote a book and sold it to movie studios. Maybe we'll go on talk shows.
I doubt that.
Yeah, you don't really have that, what's the word, charisma. Best leave all the talking to me. Just think of all the tale, man. Heroes.
Aren't you engaged?
Just 'cause I don't get you.
A man shouldn't have to ask for some rural attention, that's all I'm saying. Makes a man feel like a man, you know? Hashtag me too. Damn. Oh, fuck, there he is. Let's go.
Not yet. Let me get inside first.
Right. He'll be cornered. Holy shit, it's really him. Holy mother.
You need to calm down. If you go in there for raging hard on, you won't be walking out.
You nervous? Maybe. You're the rat. Yeah? I mean, you've been with the Force for what? 10 years or something? Nobody knows a thing about you. There's only two types of people that keep themselves the way you do. Perverts. Spies. You a pervert?
You better have some hard evidence if you want to make accusations.
Just messing with you, man. Don't get testy. God, I'm amped up. We're putting that asshole on the disability list tonight.
Get your ass in check. We're bringing him in alive and unharmed.
What the fuck?
I'm going in.
Wait!
The fuck do you want?
Your hand. It's locked.
Holy shit.
What's going on?
They're about to fuck each other up. No visible firearms.
Call for backup.
Radio's in the car.
There's more than good.
No, man, we got this. There's another door around back.
Go check it out. I'll cover this side.
fuck? You said it was locked! You said...
It's Mom. For Mom.
Confirming 2 victims of tonight's attack, including an officer who's been rushed to hospital in critical condition. Reports from neighbors describe the other victim having regained consciousness on scene, but sustaining serious injuries to his right hand, leaving us all to ask if this is yet another act of violence perpetrated by Sterling City's own vigilante. Sterling PD, of course, has been...
Wow. Well, first of all, congratulations, you both, because that was fantastic. Especially
Thank
Brandon.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. And I have several kind of questions. What are the, just on the little things which caught my attention? When it keeps on cutting back to the vigilante as he's hitting with the hammer repeatedly, I think you cut back to it maybe, 3-4 times, that kind of shot?
At least 3, yeah.
Yeah. Is there any repeated footage? Because it's very much the same shot each time. Did you reuse the same footage at all in that? Or was each one kind of actually chronologically?
I don't think we reused the same footage. I know when we had Phil, the actor, do that take, we probably pushed him for 2 minutes to just keep hammering and letting loose and getting raw and getting into it. So we had a lot of footage to pick from.
Yeah. There wasn't any reproductions there. He was just given so many different. In fact, mostly with Phil's footage, Phil Devon. His footage was my problem as an editor was that he kept doing it with a subtly different emotional context, and every single one of them was amazing. So I kept having to choose whether or not to go with the one where there's a little bit of sadness in the back, just sort of subtext, or if there's just pure out fucking rage, or if it was every scene that I had of him where there were multiple cuts, it was oh, Phil, you're so good. I don't know which of these to choose. So that was us sitting here trying to edit the thing together and decide, so which of these incredible performances do we use?
Right.
Yeah. So my next kind of question, I think, is that you said before we watched it that the way you approached directing a fight scene was to block it out and to chronologically move through those blocks and shoot everything you can, everything you need to. You were there for 12 hours, right? You said. Was there any point where you had to kind of chronologically go back in the fight scene to redo anything? Did you clean up the blood and have to do it again?
Nope. We never had to go back. I will say, for time constraints, there was like an entire block of the fight that was cut that never actually got filmed. And so Phil and Justin, the two actors, and myself had to kind of reconfigure how we went from, block F to block H or something. But no, nothing had to be gone back and redone. There were takes where we probably lost 45 minutes to an hour just trying to get one particular thing right so that we could move on.
Yeah, and that shot with the carry shot to the car where, Phil's lifted up by his neck, which is actually, of course, he's like scissoring the guy. I mean, it's just brilliant when you get to watch this stuff and figure out how it's going. But, Phil's supporting his own weight with his legs around the dude, but he's still like acting like, that shot, was that a one and done?
That was. We had Gloria Kohler, who was on set for that night only, one of the script supervisors. Her and I had kind of worked through the physical movement of how to do that shot, and that's one of the few shots where I'm actually behind the camera. We rehearsed that shot independently of the actors several times and were able to nail it in one take. And we knew that would be a troublesome shot, so the fact that we got it done quickly was awesome.
Yeah, that's impressive that was a one time just nail it, and also because you're slamming a person down on the hood of a car,
right? So
you don't want to slam them down. Like, the one time's probably going to dent the car. It ain't going to get any better from there.
Right,
it's going to go.
And Phil was willing to take the bump, but he said he didn't want to take it several times
because it was his car.
Yes, it was his car and his body.
He cared less about his body. It was just the bodywork of his car that was. The entire thing was absolutely beautiful as well, I want to say. A lot of that comes down to the cameras and the shots you were getting, but I know that the two of you must have spent a lot of time on color grading. That
was just one day.
That was one.
It was one 12, 13 hour day with both of us sitting here making the choices and going through. At which point, it's funny because we started out the day and I'm like, okay, here's the things that I'm going to use for this. Here are the tools. All right, so this is how I think we got to do, because it's really difficult to have people well lit on scene and, for your footage, and it's supposed to be at night. So the premise behind the lighting was that on Brian's side of the car, there's meant to be the orange light of sort of just street lights, and then on Ray's side of the car, it's just the blue light of night and moon and that kind of a thing. So trying to take the footage and get it to where it is convincingly dark, even though they were being blasted with light from multiple directions in order to get it bright enough for the scene to work, was a real thing. And I remember getting to the end of our maybe about hour 11 of our session of color work and going back to the beginning because we thought we were done and watching it and going, Brandon, how did you let me do this? This is disgusting. This doesn't match the other thing. And it's because, you start out the day and you're doing one thing and then you get better at it and better at it and better at it. And then by the end, it's like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. I know what I want. And then you go back to the beginning and go, who the fuck did this? Fire this person.
Wow.
But yeah, we were fortunate to have, Greg Aubrey did the cinematography as well as the lighting, another person pulling, double, triple, quadruple duty in order to get this thing done. And Greg is, if you've ever watched my live streams, then you have heard this man and that man, Greg Aubrey, in Superbomb, playing Stick It to the Man, which is basically my favorite thing from them in that era, that of course neither of them, they're like, we did that better, that was a bad recording. That's no, that's the one that goes to the radio. But that's how creatives are. No, we had a better version of it later. But yeah, Greg is professional photographer, and having him bring out the lights, he ordered like a giant, what is it, like a phosphorescent or something like that? Something that's like old school technology that kicks out an intense amount of light all the wavelengths. Ordered that for the shoot, used that, and then at some point during the shoot, what happened?
So the fourth night of filming, we had to catch all the exterior shots of the film. Cops, exteriors of the cops sitting in the car, Brian falling outside, some other exteriors, and it was cold and raining and windy, and the wind took the light down and it blew up. I think it still works. I think just the bulb blew. Yeah, and it was just a tiring, fourth night of filming, final night, and ultimately 80 to 90% of that footage was not even usable. We had to schedule a fifth night several months later after the winter.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is shot in 2 different years,
Yes.
and then put together.
Yes.
It looks like Greg is in the chat right now. Hello to Greg.
Greg.
Big incandescence. That's what it was. Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, thank you, Mike Creations, for subbing over here. You're now like supporting us from 9 different angles at once. All of the holes are plugged.
Hi, Greg.
Hello, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, having someone who knows photography, lighting, and knows how to set things up, in the color work that was done, because if you look at, like, the original, and by the way, Greg, I'm going to send you the original. You asked over an email if I could take out the color work. I did that just yesterday, so I'm going to send you that so you can have a look at it and be able to play with it yourself. But, like, the color work that we started with, I feel like the camera's white balance was very red-shifted kind of thing. But what we found out in editing is that white balance just doesn't really fucking matter. Because at the end of the day, you can either do the white balance in the camera or you do the white balance in the editing bay. And just having the right lights, the right places, once you pull it where you want it, it gave us all of the things that we wanted to. And I remember we were sitting here doing the final color work. And we got to a certain point, you just turned to me and you're like, holy shit, it's a film now. Like, the
Yes.
footage that we had before, until you do that color grading, until you, like, pull
The color
things down
grading
and
is what
sharpen
makes
them.
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've been through that experience because I'd always heard of color grading. I didn't really know what it was until I ever stumbled across a tutorial or something. But I was making this music video, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use color grading, and did it. And just like the first filter I chose at random, and oh my god, it looks like a film. Jesus. Oh, I know what else this needs, and then just black bars, top and bottom, to make it wide angle.
Yes.
That was...
Less is more.
Yes.
That was your latest music video, right? Is it the...
Yes.
No, have you done one since?
Well, music video
I can't
is
figure out the
is
chronology.
Yeah, no, so I've done some musical stuff since, but this is the Imagine Dragons parody bug fixer, rather than...
And I remember
Wait,
saying
what
to
did
you
they-
about that one, too. Like, there's a certain scene where there's, like, a door with a bunch of light coming through it, and either you're in the door or something like that. And I said to you, wow, that looked really good. How did you, like, get the... So did you do a cropping, like a masking thing? So you just had black on one side, and then you faded it into the room? And your response was...
No.
No, it was just really dark. It's just a high contrast scene.
It was literally, just the hallway lights were pretty bright in that apartment. And so I think the camera's exposure just automatically adjusted down when I aimed at the hallway. And I kind of looked at it, I was like, oh, wow, everything else is black. That's perfect framing. Like, that looks really good. Only got to use that kind of extreme lighting right at the very end of the video. I didn't have a real use for it for the actual shoot, but yeah.
How does our audio sound right now, too? I just wanted to check in. We're still good?
I think you're getting a little bit of the crackling with the cables moving. I don't know. It's not sounding too bad to me right now.
I'm going to mute everything for everyone. So my lips are... back. Okay, we got it back.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
And I actually wanted to...
mentioning the audio.
Yeah.
Just quickly, halfway through, I noticed the sound of the party happening outside, and so I put a noise gate onto my audio. Hopefully it's not clipping too much, is it?
Yeah, I heard when you turned that on, made a big difference. Thank you.
I apologize for all of the noise up until that point.
Yeah, your flat just seems to want to party whenever we're doing a show, which is... it's not good, because it means none of them have tuned into the Harv Pawn Show. It's fucked up. They live with you, and they just don't. I wanted to ask Brandon, though, before we get too far away from the film, I wanted to ask, like, what's going on there? You know, because, like, this film there's so much that's, like, in subtext, and it kind of feels like the middle of a story that we're coming into a little bit, and there's a lot of things that are there, but necessarily the pieces haven't all connected. Mm-hmm. And I know from our premiere, as well as from some of the comments in chat, that it's like, what was going on there? So I just wanted to ask, like, you know, how... I wanted to give you a chance to sort of put this in the framework.
Sure.
Because it isn't just a standalone thing necessarily.
Correct. I will preface that by saying, especially in the dialogue between the cops and the radio conversation at the beginning, multiple viewings is going to help kind of... The information's coming at you super fast. Multiple viewings will help kind of piece together some of the ideas, which might not be what everybody in 2019 wants, but there it is.
And all you have to do, too, is just go back to the one live stream and watch it until it cuts out, and then come back in and go about a minute and a half into the next live when Comcast doesn't fuck up.
But beyond that, yes. So this short film is serving as what I guess the industry calls a proof of concept, meaning that it's not just a self-contained story told over 14 minutes. This is meant to show producers, the industry, whoever, that there's a working story here. There's a bigger world. There's more to this both before and after the events of what we chose to show you in this 14 minutes. The 14 minutes kind of, in the bigger story, the way it's worked out thus far on paper, this is kind of the middle, the Act 2 turning point, so to speak. It's in initial early forms, I had thought about feature film. Roy had thought about TV series, and the idea we kind of landed on was to shop this as a potential miniseries, 8 to 12 episodes, whatever the industry would kind of warrant.
Depending on whether or not you can make room with Scorsese on Netflix, whether or not they can carve you out a spot.
Right. Streaming and series and all of those things are doing very well in this day and age. So the end goal would be, sure, a 12-episode self-contained mini-series on any streaming service. I'll take any of them. Just cut me a check. But yes, so that is the plan as it goes out to festivals. The press kit that will be attached to the film makes that publicly known to the festival reviewers, judges, whatnot. There's more to this.
How much of that wider story do you have written out, planned out?
The planning is certainly still in the works. There is a lot more going on with the police department, the relationship between the two cops and the department, the year-long vigilante quest. There's also a big court trial that's kind of got this particular police department under national scrutiny. It's got them in the face of the media. Gloria, who was your Harvey, was your antagonist.
Yes, and she did antagonize me.
In the radio bit.
And I should mention also that Greg Aubrey, in addition to being cinematographer and lighting, was also the voice of our sort of NPR radio host, breaking in, trying to cut you off, Harv, as you were launching into, "Shut up, I'm talking."
Yes.
Brandon Frye told me that you guys had a nice good laugh trying to piece together the different parts of our voice acting.
We absolutely enjoyed it. But yes, Gloria's character is a news reporter, or a journalist rather, who has a bigger role in the series. Yeah, it's still very much being fleshed out. There's been some pen put to paper, but it's by no means like packaged and ready to go or be sold or whatever.
And didn't you just have, or are you having shortly, like a writing session with someone you want to bring in?
Last night. Just last night, I had the first.
Hot off the presses.
Yeah, the first of what will undoubtedly be many various sessions throughout the winter with Phil, who played the vigilante, and his friend Mark, who has never written for film but writes, and he's got the kind of brain that you're going to get good ideas out. So I think between the three of them and Roy, who has been a long time brain juice person, I think between the four of us, we'll pump out a pretty decent story eventually.
Which,
just to reiterate, if you enjoyed that and you want to support Brandon Frye, Dog in a Bathtub Productions, what are you guys called? Dog in a Bathtub?
Yep, Dog in a Bathtub Productions.
You can support directly, paypal.me/doginabathtub.
Yes.
And just
thank you.
Don't look it up on Urban Dictionary. Or if you do, actually, because a couple of links were posted, and the second link is wholesome. So the second link is fine. It literally is just, hey, it's a dog in a bathtub.
It's like you got a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs, and it's like trying to keep a dog in a bathtub, y'all. Yes, sir.
So there you go. That was that. Well, maybe then this is very late for us to have an actual break, but maybe we have a quick break.
Yeah, and at the beginning of this, Harv was like, I'm feeling a little bit tired today. So
I've perked up. Watching good film has made me, given me the energy.
Yeah, because I'm just shocked that we've actually managed to talk basically about the film and our history the entire time, and haven't even gotten into what we think of Michael Bay or Martin Scorsese's like anti-Marvel shit, or there's so much to talk about. Not to mention Harvey, who has experienced the realm of acting as well. As you can see him there, pretending like he has no idea what I'm talking about right now. This is all like things that I figured we'd get around to, but Christ, we filled an hour and a half with this shit.
Time to stop talking about this film.
That was actually my cheer. After the premiere, we all went out to the bar. Obviously, you know me.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know me. So we all went out to the bar, and I raised a glass. They hadn't even brought us our beers yet. I raised like water that I'd poured for everyone out of the pitcher and said, "To tomorrow having nothing to do with catch him whilst beneath he strays." Except I didn't, because that's a new thing. But.
Whilst beneath he strays. That's the most tenuous one you've come up with yet.
So yeah, all right.
Okay, so I suggest that let's go to a 5-minute break. Yeah.
All right. And then... Where do I click for that again? Oh, it's that one. All right.
When we come back, we can maybe have a very quick chat about voice acting and what working with voice actors is like, and what it's like to do voice acting, and kind of just focus on that. Have a quick little poke at that, and then that'll be the end of the show.
Sounds like a plan to me. 5 minutes, people. Go grab a pee or take a beer.
Voice acting.
Yes, so we've been talking about our short film Catch 'Em When He Strays, and our short film Catch 'Em When He Strays actually involved sort of multiple radio plays. You know, the whole film opens up with a radio play in which Harv was our like leading, I mean, the person who's moving things along and setting the tone and sort of filling in the backstory for the viewer as well. And
yeah, I didn't realize that my voice was literally going to be the first voice that came on.
Neither did we, honestly. Like, I don't even remember exactly how that was written, who was going to start out, but we got the things together, we started piecing it together. That whole skit actually involved taking cuts from, like, people saying things that weren't in the script, like between the scenes and stuff, you know. Gloria was like said, yeah, okay, you know, stuff like that. And just by putting them into the right spot where you're like shouting at her about something and just putting her completely like tonally neutral. Yeah, and she was just tonally neutral when she was saying that because it was between takes. It was just like, okay. But, you know, when you put it right after someone told you to shut up, it suddenly feels like they're saying, okay. Yeah.
And that shut up was completely off script as well. It was.
Yes, it was.
I was just trying to do it over and over and over to get the right tone, and yeah.
Harv gave us like 7 to 9 is what I'm going to say. 7 to 9 different like versions of the take because I like wrote out a sort of direction kind of. So here's your character. Here's the things. You know, give us one where you're like this, one where you're like that, one where you're like that, and play with it. And what we got back turned out to be what you were joking with turned out to be the final cut because it worked so well once we layered in all this other stuff.
I mean, it's one thing I've always found with voice acting. Like, we've kind of had this discussion between the two of us recently, but definitely when you're acting stuff you've written yourself, you feel much more kind of less wooden, a little bit more, you know, in the flow of it, and don't sound quite as robotic or stiff. But even if you haven't written something yourself, just trying to get the intent and then saying whatever is a good way to also accomplish that same thing. Because I think there's definitely something, at least to the person who's actually doing the recording, it's so obvious when something feels scripted. It might be a kind of symptom of being familiar with the script and kind of knowing what the script says, and so it all feels a bit predictable maybe. But ad-libbing off of it and just being like, to date for shut up, listen to me, to date for people. So
and actually
that was
here's
nice.
A little like tip that I can share from Harvey that I don't know if you recognize as a tip or not, but I gave like direction notes in the email saying you want to give this a try, and he like read in his first take back the email notes like in the character. And it was like, that is a really good way to warm up. Like, give me my notes, and then as you go, and it's like, you know, maybe in one line I'm saying, so for one of the takes, try and give us one that's like, here's your, you know, motivation, you're reading that, and then it gets to the other one, and it's like, and then I want one from you that's really fucking angry, and he's like, and then I want one from you that's like, really fucking angry. Just a good little tip.
That. I hadn't, that had gone completely from my mind since recording that. I've never done that before or since, but yeah, so maybe that is something that every voice actor should do.
Take the notes and read the notes in the character just to sort of warm yourself up and then jump in. I thought that it worked really well for you. You know, we were sitting here trying to figure out again which of the 7 or 9 takes that we had was going to be the one, and then like the whole shut up thing, you know, we were just sitting here laughing, and then I was like, wait a second. So if Greg, our, you know, radio host comes in like right after that and tries to interrupt him, ooh, could I cut that together? And I'm like, this works. This works.
I've had that same experience on the other side of the microphone, I suppose, as it were. I'm currently in the process of editing together a big audio project with perspectives on a Dungeons and Dragons session that I played. I went round each player individually and kind of talked through what happened and got them to record their perspective. And now I'm interweaving all those different perspectives together into one narrative. And there have been some times where it's like someone starts talking about something and I go, that's not quite... And then 2 hours later I'm editing and I go, wait, didn't that person say something? That would have been perfect for this bit. So just grab this audio clip and take it 2 hours later into the process. Just some out of context, like, oh yeah, I can't believe he went and did that. And just completely use it for a different went and did a thing.
So Harv has become a reality television producer at this point, where you take a clip from what somebody said, completely out of context, shove it in there, and then they're calling this person a bitch instead of someone else.
I'm just creating drama everywhere I go.
That's actually, but that is like, Brandon and I have found ourselves again and again in that position, making short films. Like, I'm Going to Break Your Heart is just this, like, it has French film smell all over it. And then it gets into this long, drawn-out argument where there wasn't really, like, a hard and fast script.
I should preface this by saying it has American emo kid trying to do French film smell all over.
Well, hang on. It has a guy smoking a cigarette, right?
Yes, there is a cigarette.
Yeah, it's French, yeah.
And it's blue lit, and there's snow on the ground and stuff. It's, other than the snow on the ground, I don't know how much snow France gets.
The same.
Oh, an amount? Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. But yeah, in that one, there was no, like, hard and fast script for either of these actors. It was just like, here's the scenario, here's what's going on in your lives right now, and, argue. And we sat here for hours upon hours upon hours, carving together from all of these different takes and all of these different conversations, one conversation that had never occurred and had never nearly occurred. It was like one sentence from here and then a take from 40 minutes later and then a take from 20 minutes before, and just piece this thing together. And so while we were, like, cutting this one together, I'm turning to Brandon and saying, why do we always find ourselves cutting together arguments between men and women that never actually happened and making them worse? What is sort of like the underlying, there's something psychologically to this process that we keep finding ourselves within.
Both of you clearly have very good experience with arguments between men and women.
Oh, nothing but the best. Loved every one of them.
Valuable. Yeah, but just chalk, whenever you next find yourself in an argument with one of, your significant other.
A lover.
Just think like, I really hate that we're fighting right now, but this is great resource for my future writings.
Absolutely.
This guy to the plot of I Am Going to Break Your Heart. There's definitely that in the subtext of that one.
Oh, yeah. That relationship at the time was not going well.
I know we're supposed to be talking about voice acting, but and it's fine if you don't want to talk about this, but I think Roy mentioned a dog at some point. There was a dog involved? Was that in that, or was that something else?
No, that is Celine. That must be.
What? I don't know.
Oh, he doesn't remember this.
The last short film, we just shot it a little over a month ago. It's called Celine. The basic premise, I act in it, and it plays me kidnapping or dog napping my girlfriend's dog. Was originally intended to feature the real dog, but in the process of getting ready to film, said girlfriend and I broke up, and she took the dog, so that dog's not in it.
Yeah, the actual script of that film sort of portends what happened.
Yes, foreshadowing.
Yeah. And it was written when?
It was written the beginning of this year when I thought things were going swimmingly.
So stole your dog.
Yes.
The main character with the most lines, the dog. No. But yeah, that one will actually... Go ahead.
Let's segue this back into voice acting for the last 10 minutes of the show. What has your experience been with kind of voice acting or working with voice actors, Brandon? And obviously, Pawn, you've done voice acting yourself and worked with voice actors. Do you have any particular tips that you might give to directors or scriptwriters to get the best out of a performance? Do you think is there much there that you have to think about?
I'm gonna direct this to Roy. He dealt with pretty much all the voice actors and the ADR for Ketchum, so he can handle this question.
Got it. Yeah, that was the thing, was just like getting in the space and just giving people, getting them into the headspace is all that there is to it. It just is directing, but really just being willing to get in there and push people to go left or go right and push them to the outer reaches of like what it actually calls for, and then maybe bring them back and just playing with it. Because like voice acting is that much harder because you're not in the situation, you're not in the scenario, you're not looking at or experiencing what you're supposed to be conveying on film. So, helping someone get into that place and, asking them to imagine and helping them work it out, and maybe even like kind of tricking them into doing what you want them to do by maybe like once you get some experience with the person who's in the chair or in front of the mic, you can sort of see where they're seeing that the role is, and then know that to them what you need to say is, turn it up to 250%. Because for you, 250% is just where you wanted it, but that's where they're starting with from the character. But yeah, I think in voice acting, like, direction is really important. You have to, like, give somebody a strong sense of their subtext, their motivation, what's going on right now, and then just, let them play with it until you get what you want. And along those notes, I know that you, Harv, have been very self-deprecating about some voice acting roles that you've done in the past, and whenever you started down that path, I always say, yeah, but look at the shit that you, like, wrote yourself, and, like, that you knew what you wanted out of the character and knew what you wanted out of the role. I keep coming back to the AI that's being trained to replace the people in the call center thing, and you're playing, like, all of the characters there, I think. You're playing, the AI that's replacing you and stuff, and it's just brilliant. It's a great radio play. It's great voice acting work.
The actual engineer on call to the AI and his friend Dave or someone behind him in the call center, where are you literally like, okay, I want to voice someone who's physically elsewhere in the scene. All right, I'm going to stand over here. What do you want?
Yep.
Was that loud enough over the
Yes,
noise
it
gate?
was. Yes, it was. I was worried for a second, but it kicked it.
I've had that's been a learning experience. Just one of the most difficult things with voice acting, I think, is being loud without like blowing out the mic, or without just having it sound, not right at all. The first kind of actual voice acting, I think maybe not the first, but some of the earliest stuff I tried to do was for a Skyrim mod where Neuronix, I think his name was. Yeah. He made a new follower in Skyrim, which was me. And so I did all the voice acting for it. And that includes combat lines where, whatever situation I'm in, from being attacked or attacking something, you've got to have some anger. You've got to have some hurrah, ooh, ah lines. And I had to experiment really with having the microphone here and trying to sound angry but without shouting, and then all the way to being on the opposite side of the room so that I could shout. But I couldn't use any of that stuff because you can really tell when the origin of the voice is on the opposite side of the room. So you'd be in the game standing right next to them, and it would sound like their voice was coming from 2 meters away. So all that is really, really tricky, and I am very amateur at all of it. I know self-deprecation is not the in thing, as we've said already. But yeah, I'm constantly learning. And voice acting is one of those things that I've said this to you, which kind of prompted the conversation that you've already alluded to, is that I've always felt that my voice is the strong part of my voice acting, and my
is
acting
my
is the weak
passport.
part.
Verify me. It's a reference to Sneakers. It's an old movie. Old movie.
Okay.
My voice is my passport. Verify me.
Oh, wait, I recognize that. I don't think I've seen the movie, though.
Well, you have
I must
to.
have
It's
seen
like the
things that
first
parodied it.
brilliant hackers movie ever.
I do know that line, yeah. Anyway, you've derailed me now. What was I saying?
I don't know. I just wanted to interject my thing. Now I'm done. Carry on.
Isn't that line an uplink? Maybe that's where it's from, Sir Emo Chappington in chat.
Oh,
Maybe
so
that's
there's
why
like
I've read
a... And it references the... see? The cultural
Yeah.
reference hole. It go deep.
Yeah. But yes, so what I was saying, I think, even though my mind is gone now. What was it? Oh, right, voice acting. I've always felt like I have the voice, but the acting part has always been the most difficult thing. So I've generally, most of my kind of career, if you could call it that, has been going for narration or voice over, which I've always thought of as being the voice acting without the acting, because I'm just telling you some information about our product, and have a look at how amazing our product is, and so on.
Well, and that's a big part of it too. Like for voice acting is even just I did the voice for obviously like the last news person as the credits roll and catch him there, and I started out doing what I knew like needed to be done, which was a subdued, today on the highway, something came in. It was very subdued. It was very like natural and normal. Police are reporting now that there's that kind of a thing. And then I tried, the proper like, today here on the news. I went too far for it, trying to do like the news reporter thing. And a big thing about voice acting, especially if it's just going to be like heard and not seen, is that you can't, like, you almost have to try to not try. Because if you're like trying to do a voice, it's probably not going to work out. Like, there are people who are paid to try and do fake voices and stuff, but if you're not one of those people who can do like a whole bunch of different ranges and things like that and different characters, and if it's not a cartoon that you're voicing, if it's supposed to be an actual human being, you basically have to just be natural and try and imagine that you are the person. You are in that space. You are that person. So, like, when I finally got the good take out of myself for that outro,
I was more subdued one.
Yeah, I was, like, imagining that I was the news anchor who reads this shit every day. This is just another fucking thing. I'm just reading off of, yep. And the grocery list for tonight is rutabaga coming in after chickpeas. Don't forget to pick up the milk or else your wife is going to be angry with you. But it's just like being bored helps sell that like news voice, because it shouldn't be that, you shouldn't be like, like if you were actually really in that, position as a news anchor and you always had that energy, you just burn out after a couple of minutes. The second week it'd be like, and that's why
it's always enjoyable for me watching like the news here, and it might be a bit different. I know you guys have got a lot of different news channels, and some of them are a bit more cartoony than others. Let's say.
This is true.
But it's always interesting watching the BBC news anchors and how they try and tone what they're saying, because they essentially have to adopt a very
London
professional but
know.
sympathetic, and just kind of like it's not the accents, but it's the tone where 3 people today have died in a car crash as a result of the extra rainfall on the M3. We'll be bringing you further updates on this. For now, we're going to go to our, where it's not like, well, 3 people have just died, and well, what a bad day for those people. Condolences to their families.
I like that idea of like, today 3 people were killed in an auto accident, and we'll have more on that at 11, but for today, a dog gets a home. Let's look at this story over in the West Side, where an abandoned puppy found their way back after and then after that, the people who died will, condolences.
Yeah, I've yet
now
to
to
see
the
a show
puppy.
which does it like that. Probably with good reason.
And now for the lighter side of sports, Sister Macy. So, Harv, Greg had a good idea in chat that Brandon and I were both looking at, which was since the video broke in the middle, what if we just went out on rolling the thing again in full? I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I'll turn it on. I'll walk away. A couple hours from now, I'll remember to come back, turn the stream off.
I think it's such a shame that
remember to turn your webcam off.
On the first public, kind of showing of this to the wider audience, that it's been cut across 2 different streams now. So yeah, I think it's worthwhile rolling it again, and that'll be a good way for us to end off.
Yeah, so I figure what I'll do is I'll roll the credits, because our credits are a way of saying thank you to our supporters on Patreon and here on Twitch with the subs and the cheers and the follows and whatnot. So we'll roll the credits, and for those of you who know better, or who have been told better by Brandon where to find it in the VOD, the uncut version of the thing after the credits, we will then roll the, catch him whilst beneath atop he strays.
So many names.
Catch him whenever he happens to go for a walk in an area that is not this area.
Yes.
I want to point out as well, we are on next week, same time. I don't think we're going to move to an earlier time slot, are we? It's going to be 9 p.m. UK time, 4 p.m. Eastern
4 p.m. in the Eastern. I'm
we'll stick with
really
that.
confused right now because I'm looking through Streamlabs trying to find the thing that I usually click, but it's in the wrong size, so I don't... there it is. All right. We're set for the outro.
What I wanted to say was that we're about to show Twitch subs and cheers and patrons and whatnot on the screen and the credits at the end of the show, but if you would like to vote to help us determine what topic we should discuss next, then polls don't close until Saturday. So you've got until Saturday to become a Twitch subscriber or a patron over at patreon.com/harvandpawn, and you can vote on the 4 different discussion options we've got up in the straw poll and have your say, be the tiebreaker, because currently it's tied, I think, on the different ones.
Ooh.
Oh, is it?
Ooh, what's the tie?
Unique opportunity for you to break that tie. So go do that. And otherwise, I think most of all, just thanks so much, Brandon, for coming on the show. It's been awesome having you here.
Thank you guys. Thank you both for having me. This has been... You popped my live stream cherry, and I couldn't have pictured 2 more handsome men to do it. So thank you.
Somebody quote that for
this
the film
has been a hell of a 3-way.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the credits and then the film. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you next time. Good night.
Harv Pawn, Harv Pawn, Harv and Pawn, and 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 Harv and Pawn. Harv and Pawn.